3.
When was the change?
Approximately a week ago.
Is that because you had less travellers in that hotel?
Not at all.
A government spokesperson told the Today Show in some instances contracted companies employed subcontractors. All were bound by the standards in their service agreement with the Victorian government. All staff were required to undertake regular infection control training. It's now all the subject of a judicial inquiry to find out just how this could happen in hotels designed to protect Victorians.
It's a money-making exercise, I guess, Christine.
Now, you heard in that the Victorian government spokesperson saying that all staff, and that is from nurses to security staff, were required to undertake regular infection control training. However, there are more allegations with other security guards telling me that basically they were forced to, or not forced, but they did sign documents saying that they understood that they basically had undertaken infection training and understood the protocols. They described it to me as a box ticking exercise. Of course, all this will now form part of the judicial inquiry. More pressure on the Victorian government to just uncover how this mess all unfolded. David.
And so there you are, up to date on Australian Indian Radio's daily live updates. And there's some alarming news coming out of there. And we have definitely seen that kind of things happening across the sector. There's many sectors and many fields where people are just put in somehow. We have seen many places, many protocols and all the licensing things which have taken away. Of course, many people come in and fill in for a lot of jobs that are, in instances unfilled and people are unwilling to do. But once again, all the protocols, all the checks and balances have to be put in place. It's not okay just to say, it will be all right, it will be okay, yeah, that's all right, here you go, mate. That kind of mentality. And I have recently seen that happening in many fields, in many sectors. The lack of that professionalism, the lack of all the safety protocols being followed. There are many things that have been fallen through the cracks, as they say. So I think Australian government really, really needs to look at and tidy up some of these, channels in many different fields. I'm not naming any field, just one field. I've noticed that across the sector, in many industries, people are getting licenses to do things, sometimes it makes you wonder where and how did they get the training and licenses. Some people are very, very good. Academic-wise, they can write and do exams, but when it comes to practicality and being culturally and, of course, well-trained for the country and everything like that, that sort of lacks a lot as well. I know, I'm speaking generally here, not aiming at any particular industry, but I've seen that happening across the board in many, many different fields. So I think we really need to maintain the standards everyone needs a fair go, everyone needs a job, everyone needs to be given the equal chance, but you need to do the right thing as well. If you're given an equal opportunity, you too need to, abide by the rules, follow the rules and regulations of the land. So, that is very, very important. Well, good news is Queensland is open for Queenslanders, as I know that many people are still struggling to find that perfect holiday as yet, because we know school holidays are there. Grandparents are with grandkids. They need to spend time. They need to go out. And the websites are advertising many, many places, and they even book you in. And only then you find out that only limited facilities are open at that resorts and things. So let's see what's happening right here in Brisbane.
Perfect time to come back now. It's a beautiful, sunny winter's day.
I just think we're really lucky to live in Queensland, in somewhere that is so beautiful that we can have amazing staycations and holidays within our own state or our own area.
And there's so many beautiful locations and places you go to. You've got to make the most of it.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to be on JobKeeper over the last few months, so we were still coming in and helping out around the hotel, but it's really great to be back now, back at work with a bit more of the wider team, so that's really great. Today's our first day. We've already got our first guests in the pool. We welcomed them for the Cowell for a Day package. It's a great staycation. Like, a lot of people, even locals, will come for a weekend because we've got the precinct. So, you know, you can shop, dine, stay, lay by the pool, have drinks at Hellenica. It's like a really great overall experience. It's, you know, great to come to Queensland when the weather's like this in winter as well. I do love, you know, a zucchini chip with an Aperol Spritz by the pool, very generic, but it's just so nice to lay by the sun. The poolside rooms are my favourite personally because you get this beautiful view. It's really nice, like a home away from home, I guess.
So there you are. Doesn't that look wonderful? Yes, but you will have to be first in, best dressed, as they say at the moment, because many places are just being booked. And then the people find out, okay, this is not open, especially the dining areas are not open, and people are used to, you know, going to a hotel and being there, experiencing the fine dining into those elegant settings, or even the morning breakfast, which is now offered in rooms in many of these facilities. So if you are booking those holidays, please check all these things before you book, otherwise you would be in for a little bit of a shock. Now, right now, yesterday was Princess Diana's birthday, and she would have been 59. So let's take a very, very quick look at what she would have been. Some very quick facts about the Princess Diana. So the name Princess Diana birth date was the 1st of July 1961, and unfortunately she passed away on August 31st, 1997. Education was at West Heath School in Littlesworth Hall. Place of birth was Sandringham, United Kingdom, and place of death was France. Paris. Of course, we all know that was terrible news which happened there. So Princess Diana, Princess of Wales, while married to Prince Charles, one of the most adored members of the British royal family. She died in 1997 car crash. Princess Diana became Lady Diana Spencer after her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer in 1975. She married the heir to the British throne, Prince Charles, on July 29, 1981. They had 2 sons and later divorced in 1996. Diana died on August 31st, 1997 from injuries she sustained in a car crash in Paris. She is remembered as the People's Princess because of her widespread popularity and global humanitarian efforts. Wonderful efforts that she did. Her early life and family. So British royalty, Diana Spencer was born on 1st of July 1961 near Sandringham, England. Diana was the daughter of Edward John Spencer, Viscount Holcroft, and Frances Ruth Beck-Roth. Richardson's altar, later known as the Honourable Frances St. Kitts. Her parents divorced when Diana was young, and her father won custody of the children. Diana had 2 sisters, Lady Jane Fallows and Lady Sarah McCullough, and an older brother, Charles Spencer, 9L Spencer. Following her initial education at home, Diana attended Riddlesworth Hall School and then West Heath School. Although she was known for her shyness while growing up, she showed an interest in music and dancing. She became Lady Diana Spencer after her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer in 1975. So how did she meet Prince Charles? Diana began dating Prince Charles, the heir to British throne, who was 13 years her senior in 1977. The couple first met when Diana was a child and reportedly played with Prince Charles' younger sibling, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, while her family rented Park House, an estate owned by Queen Elizabeth II. Charles was usually the subject of media attention and his courtship with Diana was no exception. The press and the public were fascinated by this seemingly odd couple, the reserved, garden-loving prince and the shy young woman with an interest in fashion and popular culture. The engagement ring. So on February 6, 1981, Prince Charles proposed to Diana with an 18-carat white gold ring topped with a 12-carat oval Ceylon sapphire surrounded by 14 solitaire diamonds. It was made by the crown jeweler Jared and reportedly inspired by a brooch created in 1840 for Prince Albert as a wedding present for Queen Victoria. The ring cost around £28,000 at the time, which is about $35,000. After Diana's death, her son Prince William proposed with the ring to Kate Middleton, Duchess of Cambridge. Sons. So Diana and Charles have two sons, Prince William Arthur Philip Louis, born on June 21st, 1982, and Prince Henry Charles Albert David, widely known as Prince Harry, born on September 15th, 1984. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, and a little bit there about Princess Diana. As we know, it's been mentioned that she was the people's princess, and I would vouch for that. She was adored, and you saw that photos all around the world, even in India, and wherever she went, she was always welcome, and she was always there with the kids, and always supporting many charities as well, and many organizations. It's quite unfortunate that she did go the way she did. Ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time for a commercial break.
ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी 1989 से लेकर अब तक का विश्वसनीय और माननीय ब्रिस्बेन का रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। उषा चंद्रा, जो कि ग्लोबनेट की डायरेक्टर है, अपने ग्राहकों को ईमानदार और एथिक सर्विसेज देती हैं। अगर आप ब्रिस्बेन की प्रॉपर्टी में पूंजी लगाना चाहते हैं और आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी को प्रोफेशनली मैनेज किया जाए, तो आप आज ही कांटेक्ट कीजिए उषा चंद्रा को। लैंडलाइन नंबर है 38654466 और मोबाइल नंबर है 0419775416। और आप प्रॉपर्टी की अधिक जानकारी और करंट अपडेट्स के लिए हमारी वेबसाइट पे लॉगिन कर सकते हैं। हमारी वेबसाइट है www.globnetreality.com.au। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी आपका अपना लोकल रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। हमारा पता है ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, शॉप नंबर 5, 2281 सैंडगेट रोड, बुंदल, क्वींसलैंड। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, रियल एस्टेट इज अवर वर्ल्ड।
And definitely is the world. It's time now to go to the world and have the news in brief at the moment. But before we do that, let's take a very quick look at yesterday there was lots of talks about Hong Kong, and even if you look at the social media, some people are saying this is the end of Hong Kong, or what's happening out there. So protesters in Hong Kong get together despite all the laws, as they did when they originally held those protests. So let's have a very quick look at that.
23 years ago today, Hong Kong was returned to China by the UK. Thanks to the new national security law, it has never been under tighter control. A picture of discipline and order. Exactly what the Chinese Communist Party wants to ensure in Hong Kong with its sweeping legislation.
Cheers!
All that called for celebration, and so Hong Kong's pro-Beijing leader, Carrie Lam, raised a toast.
It is an essential and timely decision for restoring stability in Hong Kong. The significance of this decision is multifaceted. It shows that the central government is determined to restore stability in Hong Kong after a year of escalating violence and riots since last June.
But Hong Kong's freedoms die hard. They still came out, even though the cost of protest had been raised significantly on the first full day of the law. This is a new police flag for a new era, a warning against free speech. The water cannon promptly deployed. The so-called Raptor snatch squads at full pace. And scores of arrests. The difference is that under the new legislation, the widely drawn crimes of secession, subversion, terrorism and colluding with foreign forces could carry a life sentence. It is too soon to say how the law will change all that. Much depends on its application by police and its interpretation by judges. But if Beijing meant to silence Hong Kong, today the people reminded the party they still have a voice. Tom Cheshire, Sky News, Beijing.
So there are, ladies and gentlemen, the news there coming from, of course, Hong Kong. So now, locally, if you are thinking about hitting the road for Western Australia school holidays, you may already be too late. Accommodation for this July school holidays is selling out fast as West Australians hit the road free of COVID-19 restrictions, but not everyone in the hard-hit tourism sector is benefiting, as we know. And as I touched on that before as well. Now, Victoria, strict lockdowns across dozens of Melbourne suburbs are now in place as serious questions are being raised over the security services used to monitor the hotel quarantine amid claims that guards had intimate contact with people in isolation, and of course with a lack of training that has been highlighted there as well. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen, news coming out of Melbourne. So why Grace is sticking with the illegal source of medical cannabis. After Grace was diagnosed with cancer, she turned to medical cannabis. But getting it legally was a challenge. So she's sticking to the black market. The experts say her experience is common, meaning that there are other people who are in that similar position where they are going to the black market to get those supplies. An absolute waste of time. Why Western Australia landlords are signing land tax relief. The Western Australia government is offering land tax waivers totaling $100 million to commercial landlords whose tenants are struggling to pay rent. Yet, only a few have applied. So we'll have to look at that news in detail to see why and how that's happened. And now the fire on the yacht. Firefighters find 2 bodies after putting out a yacht fire. The bodies of 2 people were discovered after firefighters put out a blaze on a yacht in a jetty in North Geelong. The arson squad detectives are investigating that fire. So that's quite unfortunate that things like that happen around this kind of times. Croc attacks are a regular thing in Northern Territory, says retiring head of surgery. Professor Philip Carson is the biggest chicken when it comes to his own blood, but he's stitched together croc attack victims. Then East Timorese President Jose Ramos Horta and Australians injured in the Bali bombing. So wonderful to see that he can do what he does. New South Wales Anglicare faces first-class action and man is charged over 20% brawl. Lawyers are firming up in a class action against Anglicare after 19 residents died at Newmarch House nursing home, and a man is facing several charges after 4 teens were injured during a 20% brawl in the weekend. So feeling hopeless, this is a very good news. The feeling of hopelessness, I think this will be coming good again. So the feeling of hopelessness, Tamil family in immigration limbo await their new court date. So this has been going on for a long time, as we know the story from Billawilla. A friend of a Tamil family at the center of the high-profile legal battle to stay in Australia says the mental health of the family's 2 young children is deteriorating as they wait for the new court date. At one stage, there was rules of that they were being deported, and due to community uproar, they have been able to stay here. But once again, the case has still to be heard, and a new date has been put forward. As we know, the community, even the local residents at Billawilla, they all got behind them. Melbourne's local coronavirus lockdown begins with 300 people facing tighter restrictions. Some Melburnians say that return to stay-at-home restrictions mean livelihoods will suffer and they no longer can see the light at the end of the coronavirus lockdown tunnel. So as they say, as long as the light at the end of the tunnel is not coming from an oncoming train, you might be okay. But Melburnians are at this point in time, struggling to keep up with that. I feel pure hate. Why? How a mother channeled her anger at the drug driver who nearly killed her son. Alana Davis says her nightmare, which began 3 years ago when she was driving her teenage son on a country road, continues to haunt her, but also motivates her into doing something about cases like this. China increases tariff on Australian beef, milk and powder. So while there are so much talk about everything to be built in made in Australia or other countries as well, everyone's looking at building, manufacturing, producing things locally. And China also relies on a lot of imports at the moment as well. But what China has done, China has increased the tariff on Australian beef and milk powder. Tariffs on Australian beef into China will jump up more than 5% from 5% to 12% for 6 months, with increases also expected on whole milk powder as preferential tariffs are withdrawn. So, that preference is not there anymore. As we know, Australian beef is very, very popular in China, and so is our milk. And of course, we all know what happens with the formula milk at the supermarkets. People even fight over that. So, it is what it is. Right now, people are dying to see live shows. Live performance is returning to Brisbane. So what can we see and when? After being shut since March, several major Brisbane venues and performing art companies are about to get the shows back on with live audiences as Queensland's coronavirus restrictions continue to ease. So, with the coronavirus restrictions easing, Queenslanders will be able to go and watch live shows once again. As we know, people have been saying that, we have waited too long for the shows to come back. And so when we look at Queensland with the restrictions easing, and by Friday, tomorrow we will bring to you what you can do in the weekend, what is open, and how many things are there that we can go and enjoy right here, right in our backyard, without having to, do the long distances. As we know that Queensland, as the Premier said, is open for Queenslanders. Right now, let's have a quick look at all of the upcoming events in and around Brisbane. The first one is Brisbane chapter of Vedanta Centre, and then online Hindu Dharma classes, Breathe Your Way, with the Art of Living Foundation. The BSK Super Gurudwara programs are happening once again, free food delivery, the Hindu Helpline, and Vedanta Centre of Sydney, and Sahyog, and of course Stand By. Now, with all of these functions and events, you can jump onto our website and have a look, and then you will find out of all the things that are happening. But today, I'm just going to leave you with a little news, which is unfortunately come right at the last minute, so I just have to read it out to you. That Queensland International Students Crisis Assistance Package. So many people may not be aware of that the Queensland government has more than tripled its support for students, boosting its statewide international student assistance and recovery package to 15 million. As part of this package, an additional 10 million will now be made available to support international students experiencing severe financial hardship as a result of COVID-19. Study Queensland recognizes that many international students have lost their income and are feeling heightened sense of anxiety being away from family during this pandemic and are unable to travel home. The new funding complements a range of relief programs introduced by Queensland Government's universities, education and training providers and local communities to support the students during this difficult time. So with this, without going into great details, who is eligible? So first, very quickly, who is not eligible? So if you are an international student at a university or TAFE, you are not eligible for this one of grant. You may be eligible for other ones, but not for this. You are eligible if you are over 18, currently enrolled at a CRICOS registered education provider in Queensland that is not a university based with a campus in Queensland, which is not a TAFE in Queensland, and which is not a primary or secondary school. So you must hold an international student visa to study in Queensland education with a training provider. Currently living in Queensland, currently have 1,500 Australian dollars or less in your bank account with a proof of transactions from 19th May onwards, and you must have an Australian bank account. If you are applying, the information to provide must be true and accurate. If you are assessed as eligible, you will receive a one-off $500 payment to your Australian bank account. Please note, it could take about 7 to 10 business days to receive this payment into your account. So it is a good news that it's out there. If you are eligible, you should apply for that. And if you need further information, please contact us and we will guide you on. But we have also got all this information on our Brisbane Indian Times Facebook page and also Australian Indian Radio's Facebook page. The link will be there. You can click on the link and you can apply for these loans, which is very, very timely. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, I need to say goodbye until tomorrow. It's been wonderful having your company. Do go, there's comments coming. Please share the video around and also make suggestions of what you would like to see on the show, because this is your show and we need to present what you would like to see and hear, and what we'd like us to share on this program, so that we will take your feedback into account in restructuring the program into the way that it pleases you, that everyone would like to see, because otherwise we'll keep on going with the way we think that it is good, but which might not be correct. You might feel quite otherwise. We have been getting some very positive feedbacks, which is good, but critical feedback is also welcome. We'll take them on the chin and we will put those into practice to make this a better show. Hey, it's been wonderful having your company. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me.